For almost half a century, this was the tallest skyscraper in the globe, today the most recognized building in the world, an icon of modernity, and a symbol of wealth and prosperity. With its incredible 443 meters of height, the Empire State is a landmark of architecture and engineering that rises majestically in the heart of Manhattan. Being the tallest skyscraper in the world when inaugurated, it held this title for nearly 40 years. This amazing work of engineering is a central part of New York's and United States' identity, and a proof of human ability to overcome challenges and create wonders. New York is one of the largest metropolises on the planet, full of symbols recognized all over the world, such as the Statue of Liberty, Times Square, and Central Park. But among all these icons, one stands out for its imposingness and beauty: the Empire State Building. Built in the midst of the worst economic crisis in American history, the Great Depression, a team of visionaries and builders dared to realize a dream: to create the tallest building in the world in a record time. With its 102 floors, the Empire State is a skyscraper that became an icon of New York's culture and architecture. Its name comes from the nickname of the state of New York, the Empire State, and reflects its grandeur and ambition. For almost 40 years, it was the tallest building in the world, until it was surpassed by the North Tower of the World Trade Center in December 1970. Today it is the third tallest in the city, and the fourth tallest in the United States. 14 years after its inauguration, a catastrophic event that shook its structures occurred. In 1945, a tragedy that almost destroyed the building happened. In the midst of a dense fog, a B-25 bomber from World War II crashed into the 79th floor of the Empire State, opening a hole of 5.5 by 6.1 meters, and generating a large explosion and a fire on several floors. At the time of the collision, about 50 to 60 spectators were present on the observation deck of the 86th floor, and witnessed what happened. Fortunately, New York firefighters acted quickly and extinguished the fire in less than an hour. In all, 14 people died. Despite this great accident, the structure of the building was not compromised, and the Empire State reopened for business only 48 hours after the incident. That's right. The Empire State has its own energy system. The system consists of 8 natural gas generators that produce electricity for the building and for another 40,000 homes in the city, being able to generate up to 9.4 megawatts of energy, which is equivalent to about 75% of the building's demand. They also provide heating and cooling. The rest of the energy is purchased from renewable sources. This system is part of a large green renovation that the building underwent in 2010 to reduce its energy consumption by about 40% and its carbon emissions by more than 50%, or about 100,000 tons per year, which is equivalent to taking 20,000 cars off the streets, saving about $4.4 million per year in energy costs. Today, the Empire State is one of the most efficient buildings in the world in terms of energy. The building's goal is to become carbon neutral by 2030. A surprising fact about the Empire State Building is that its 17-story tower at the top of the building was originally designed for the use of massive transatlantic airships, which would dock with the tower, allowing for the boarding and disembarking of passengers and cargo, with the advantage of being strategically positioned over the city center. However, this idea was never realized, with only 2 tests being conducted. In 1931, a Navy airship flew over the building, but did not tether to the mast. In 1932, another Navy airship managed to tether to the mast, maintaining its position for 3 minutes, amidst 40-mile-per-hour winds, but without any passengers on board. As its original purpose became unfeasible due to strong winds at that height, safety risks, and lack of demand, the pinnacle ceased to be used as an airship mooring, and instead became a radio and TV transmission antenna, as well as part of the observation deck on the 102nd floor. The Empire State Building pinnacle is an example of adaptation and innovation, keeping pace with societal and technological changes. The Empire State is a skyscraper that stands out in the New York skyline, with a height of 381 meters to the top floor, but if we count the antenna and the tower that complete it, it reaches 1,454 feet, or 443 meters. To power and supply this giant of concrete and steel, 692 kilometers of electrical wiring and 112 kilometers of water pipes are required. The cost of building this skyscraper that became an icon of the city was estimated at $24.7 million plus $16 million for the purchase of the land, totaling $40.7 million, equivalent to $595 million in 2021, a value that reflects its greatness and importance, and a modest amount compared to its historical and cultural value. Considering its height to the highest point, it is currently the third tallest building in New York, the fourth in the United States, and the 24th tallest in the world. The Empire State has two observation decks, one on the 86th floor and another on the 102nd floor. On the 86th floor is the main deck, the most sought after and accessible. From there you can admire a panoramic view of 360 degrees of New York City, and on the 102nd floor is the top deck, the highest and most exclusive, having a more comprehensive and distant view of the city and even other states. Its observation decks attract 4 million visitors per year, and generate about $60 million in profits. To get to the observatory on the 102nd floor, you would have to climb 1,872 steps, a real challenge. Fortunately, the Empire State has an incredible 73 elevators. Every year one of the most famous tower races in the world takes place, where competitors make the climb on foot. Did you know that the Empire State Building is one of the tallest buildings in the world? With an impressive height of 443 meters from the ground to the tip of the antenna, but what's even more incredible is the view from up there. With breathtaking views from the 86th and 102nd floor observatories, where you can see up to 80 miles or 129 kilometers on a clear day, perfect weather conditions to be able to see up to 6 states from the observation decks. Those states are New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Delaware. That's right, 6 states. New York was a city undergoing constant transformation in the late 1920s and early 1930s. The city attracted immigrants, tourists, and businessmen from around the world, who sought opportunities in the vibrant metropolis of the United States. New York experienced a period of rapid expansion with thousands of immigrants disembarking, leading to intense flow in the ports, with passenger ships getting bigger and bigger, crossing the North Atlantic towards New York. The city was witnessing a period of unprecedented development, and in this scenario of population boom, it became a stage for an unprecedented architectural competition. The city's architecture reflected this dynamic, with skyscrapers getting taller and more modern, being erected to accommodate the high demand for offices, apartments, hotels, and stores. The construction of the Empire State Building began on March 17, 1930, on the site where the renowned Waldorf Astoria Hotel once stood on Fifth Avenue. There was intense competition for height among New York skyscrapers at the time, and the Empire State Building faced strong competition from other buildings. In addition to the Chrysler Building, its main rival in this race, other buildings also competed for the title, such as the Woolworth Building with a height of 241 meters and the 40 Wall Street with 283 meters, which was the tallest in the world for only 1 month from April to May 1930. The Empire State Building has an Art Deco design, with simple and geometric lines that stand out in the New York skyline, with its elegant and imposing silhouette, with a long and straight tower that narrows and curves into a thin and pointed needle at its top. It was inspired by the shape of a simple pencil, the most rudimentary drawing tool, which once sketched its outlines. In 1929 the Chrysler Building was completed, reaching a height of 319 meters, and becoming the tallest building in the world, but only for a few months. Another rival was 40 Wall Street, which was also completed in 1929. The three buildings competed for public and media attention, but the Empire State Building emerged as the most iconic, famous, and tallest in the world, surpassing all others by a large margin. To realize the dream of building this majestic structure, the best professionals of the time were hired: architects, engineers, and builders, who worked together to erect this huge structure of steel and concrete. But what impresses most about this feat is that it was completed in record time, something extremely surprising and unimaginable for the standards of the time. The construction of the Empire State Building was a true engineering milestone and a result of the competition of ever larger buildings that dominated New York in the 1930s. The Empire State's main rival was the Chrysler Building, inaugurated in 1929, and competed head-to-head with the 40 Wall Street, which was being constructed at the same time, and was projected to reach a height of 283 meters. To secure the record, a 56-meter stainless steel pinnacle was designed, secretly assembled inside the building and raised in just 90 minutes, surprising everyone, and raising the height of the Chrysler Building to 319 meters, becoming the tallest building in the world. However, its reign was short-lived. A new giant was rising in New York, the Empire State. Originally designed to be 381 meters tall to the top floor, with a significant risk that the Chrysler would add some other element that would increase its height even more. The builders of the Empire State kept a final surprise secret: a 61-meter tower at the top of the building, raising its total height to 443 meters, thus securing the title of the tallest skyscraper in the world, and being constructed in record time. It was built in just 1 year and 45 days, an absolute record for the time. More than 3,000 workers worked on the project, which cost about $40 million. The accelerated pace due to the use of innovative techniques, such as prefabrication of steel components and assembly using cranes and elevators, constructing the building at an impressive speed, at a rate of 4.5 floors per week. Surprisingly, the building was completed ahead of schedule, and at a lower cost than estimated. The Empire State was completed on April 11, 1931, and officially inaugurated on May 1, 1931, by President Hoover, who pressed a button in Washington, D.C., to illuminate the skyscraper's lights for the first time. Among the current 5 tallest buildings in New York City, the Empire State, by far, is the oldest. At the time of its completion, the Empire State Building was the only building in the world with over 100 floors, as well as being the tallest on Earth for almost 40 years, an impressive feat for the time. To this day, it is one of the few buildings with over 100 floors in New York and the United States, being part of a select group of skyscrapers that pushed the limits of engineering. The construction was extremely fast and consumed a lot of resources, requiring over 360,000 tons of materials to complete the project. Currently there are only 4 skyscrapers with over 100 floors in New York and the United States, the One World Trade Center, with 104 floors, being currently the tallest building in New York and the United States. The Central Park Tower, with 131 floors, making it the tallest residential building in the world and the second tallest in New York and the United States. And Willis Tower, with 108 floors, being the tallest building in Chicago and the third tallest in the United States, having been the tallest building in the world from 1973 to 1998. An Empire State, with its 102 floors. The Empire State is undoubtedly one of the most famous buildings in the world. Standing out in the urban landscape with its Art Deco style, it also features a colorful LED lighting system, capable of creating 16 million different colors that change according to special occasions or events. It's no wonder that it is the most photographed building in the world, according to a study by Cornell University in 2011, which analyzed millions of photos. The Empire State ranked first, followed by the Eiffel Tower and Big Ben in London. The Empire State is one of the main and most important tourist attractions in New York, where visitors can explore its 2 observatories and enjoy a panoramic view of the city. It was also the setting for several famous movies, such as King Kong and Independence Day. Additionally, visitors can admire the beautiful lobby of the building, which is one of the few interiors in New York designated as a historic landmark by the Landmarks Preservation Commission. The building even has its own postal code, 10118. Every day, thousands of people pass through its corridors. But do you know how many people work and visit the Empire State daily? This is undoubtedly the most famous building in the world, and this huge circulation of people is due to the fact that in addition to being an important tourist attraction, the building is also one of the largest commercial centers in the world, housing companies from various sectors, such as technology, fashion, and media. The building has a total area of 257,000 square meters. The Empire State accommodates more than 1,000 companies and around 21,000 employees who occupy the building's 102 floors. It also employs approximately 250 staff members who take care of the lighting system, security and maintenance. It is estimated that the building receives about 4 million visitors per year, averaging 11,000 people per day. These visitors can ascend to the observation decks on the 86th and 102nd floors to enjoy a panoramic view of the city. The observatory operates every day, from 9 a.m. to midnight. Overall, we can see that about 30,000 people, including employees and tourists, pass through its corridors every day. Undoubtedly, this is a majestic and imposing skyscraper, built in record time, in the midst of one of the most challenging moments. It became the tallest building in the world, and held this title for almost 4 decades. The Empire State is more than just a building. It is a masterpiece of engineering and culture that inspires generations to dream higher and higher. The Empire State Building has left a mark as an iconic symbol of grandeur and the bold spirit of New York. Its immense structure that reaches the skies reminds us of the human capacity to achieve the impossible. With its greatness and ability to adapt and reinvent itself, it is a landmark that represents ambition, creativity, and human ingenuity. And what about you? Would you visit this amazing skyscraper, or any other in New York? Share your opinion in the comments below. And help support our work by leaving a like and comment.